All right. So, how many of Matt can you guys hear?
Oh, this should be interesting. Is it working? Is it broke the same way? Is it broke a new exciting way?
We hear one Matt and one Joe.
Okay. So, I can hear myself and I can hear multiple of Matt's, but you guys only hear one of us. So, I will just suffer.
Sorry. It's going to be a long 2 to 4 hours.
There's only 24 lists, and I'm going to make you do a lot of talking.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. So, um, welcome to the stream again. Properly, kind of. We are reviewing lists for Smash and Bash. We're only going to focus on Order and Death tonight. So we gonna get right into it because I cannot do with this all night. So let's see if this breaks it. Doo-doo-doo. Can you guys see this guy and
That looks
hear
good.
Matt?
I can see a list and I'm on the stream. So you probably brought it up like 15 seconds ago. It's already on there.
Fantastic. Um, Spoiler: this will be the last list review tonight. So screw you, Austin. You gotta wait. We're gonna start with Dylan. So
All right. So looks like
take it
we
away,
are,
Matt.
sounds good. Looks like we're up and running again. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. Um, so we're starting out with like I said, like Joe said, Death and Order tonight. Tomorrow will be Eli and Jeff doing Chaos and Destruction. So join us again for that if you're in one of those two factions, or just want to know what you'll be playing against at the event this weekend.
Okay.
So we're looking at a order list. So we've got the cities of Sigmar with Dylan Corcoran's Cities of Sigmar, subfaction Vindicarum. Grand strategy is Slaughter of Sorcery, so make sure there are no wizards from either side on the field at the end. Um, we've got Galen Vendenst, Heskel Hexbane, Pontifex Sinestra, Free Guild Cavalier Marshal, Callus and Toll, and that's a pile of heroes.
Mm-hmm.
We've got for battle line 30 flagellants because they come out of Vindicarum. Okay, makes sense. Um, five Free Guild Cavaliers, five more Free Guild Cavaliers, and then Dorelia Vendence. No surprise we had Galen. Hexbane's Hunters. No surprise we had Haskell. A Command Corps. No surprise. It's a Cities of Sigmar list. Wilder Corps Hunters. That's a surprise. And no surprise, Toll's Companions. We have a quick shot at Joe not reading the pack, which
Why?
for
Why
any
are
of
you
you
guys like
have.
this? Why did you do that? I can't hear myself. I can only hear one of you. Can you guys hear us?
Did we fix it?
I,
Are we able to
we
work?
fixed. Yes, we're in business.
Okay, good.
Fuck yeah.
So, for anybody who has read the pack, there are bonus etiquette points for proving that you read the pack before list submission, which will be a lot of stabs at Joe for his list reading history or pack reading history. So now that we're done debugging technical issues, the main thing I'm seeing here is there's a lot of MSU. Not other than the flagellants, I don't think anything's actually reinforced. There's a lot of heroes, and a few of the things in the other section also have the hero keyword, despite not having a leader role. So there's a lot of orders here to go around, which will give Dylan a lot of flexibility while he's playing this list.
Mm-hmm.
It gives him a lot of options for trading, and the Free Guild Cavalier Marshal, when he charges or countercharges, will be able to strike first, as well as a unit of Cavaliers that is in combat. So that'll allow him to get some, despite the fact that it's all very small units and trading focused, he'll still have the ability to have at least one big hit where it's a hero fights, a unit of cavalry fights, and then if it's his turn, another unit fights. Um, A few big things that I don't see in this list is I don't see a Warforger, and I don't see any shooting at all other than well, not no shooting at all, right? Hexbane has some shooting. Dorelia is shooting. Galen has short range shooting, but no big dedicated shooting units that are exclusively there to just put bullets downfield. No Fusiliers, no cannons, none of the things out of elves and dwarves. So those are a little bit less of a common take.
Mm.
So this is a very much choose fights, trade small pieces, and try to come out slowly ahead on battle on board state while maintaining a VP lead.
Yeah. No, Dylan's been working on this list. He definitely is rocking the like witch hunters theme. Uh, this list was a little bit more silly. What last month when the FAQ for Toll's companions wasn't quite universally agreed upon, and it was like, do all five of these dudes get an order? We don't know. And then I think they came down and they're like, no, only the heroes, not the other three heroes that are not proper heroes.
Okay, I hadn't seen that the FAQ did go live for that then.
I mean, I thought one did.
We have a ruling in our channel because one hadn't gone live.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever you ruled, Matt, what was that?
The ruling we have, and I'll double check this week to make sure there isn't a new one that showed up, is that both units have the hero keyword, which means that each unit can issue one order, regardless of how many models are in that unit. Units issue orders, models do not.
Hey, that seems fair. I can appreciate that. That's better than being like, you get five or you get one.
Yeah. And also, apparently, there was an ad break in the middle of that. You mostly, if you missed it for an ad break, it was mostly Joe trying to quote a FAQ that we don't think actually exists.
Okay, did you miss the entire list? Or like a little bit?
Because it's like it's still going.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we got like 4 ads for some reason.
Okay, so for everyone that can currently hear us, I think ads are a blight on this service, but as a partner, we are required to run them. So, that's just kind of what we're at.
Affiliate, not partner.
Affiliate, we're affiliates, not partners. I was corrected.
Which is to say, we're still working on different technical difficulties now that the audio's fixed.
Right. Okay, so other than that, I really like his list. It's very flavorful. It can utilize every single one of the commands that he can issue. He can't issue the dwarves, the elves one, but all the fun orders that you want to be issuing, he can utilize that. Hopefully, we'll see some silly return fire stories with Dorelia, popping heroes or demons. That sounds fun. Hexbanes are wonderful. Wild Cores wonderful. Tolls are unique. I don't know if I like them, but they're definitely unique. 30 Flagellants is silly. And it's a good hero suite. So, I like it.
Yeah. The TLDR, which in case it got eaten by ads, there is shooting. It's fairly individual model, short range, nothing big dedicated like a brick of Fusiliers. So what Dill's looking at is trying to combine activations with his hero charging and then the Cavaliers charging and a bunch of very small units that he can trade efficiently and try to come out ahead by small gains while controlling enough of the field to just maintain a small and steady advantage. However, in the event that he actually gets a big momentum push, he can still take advantage of that because of the ability to chain activations. So we've seen a similar list that like this do very well in LVO. It may seem a little weird, but lots of ward abilities, lots of small units, and lots of chained activations um, wins big tournaments. So I think it's a solid list.
Yeah, no. I love it, Dylan. I look forward to hearing all of the silly stories that are going to pop up with this, because silly stories happen whenever you put that many heroes on a table. So,
Before it sounds like that's copy paste, no, this is not exactly the same list or anything. The concept is something that we've seen around, all, but exactly how it's put together, I haven't seen a list that just grabs Callus and Toll and Wilder Core Hunters and says, now we're making it work.
right. Okay, so we're gonna jump down to the next list, but before we do that, I want to take opportunity to thank John Dillerman for subscribing with his Prime, Ham Smash, True Fern for following. We missed your guys' follows due to technical difficulties, but I didn't miss it because I love you guys. So let's slide down to Joey Gonzalez and look at his cities list. Yeah, all right, Joey. So we'll kick it off. Cities of Sigmar, Subfaction Misthaven. That's going to be free movement for units. Everybody likes that. Banners held high, have more banners. Inspired, because everyone needs +1 to wound. Leaders, we got the Free Guild Marshal on Griffin. This guy, discounted in points, but big value for the different builds that he can take. Looks like we're going to go for is also a priest, and we're going to bring the damage from the hammer. So I have I've had to deal with this asshole countercharging me in my turn, doing way too much damage for 270 point model. What? Yeah. So, I love this loadout on this Griffin. I've seen him with the, I think it's like what you need natural 4-ups to wound is the thing. Is the other command trait that he can get?
Yeah, that's a different command trait. This one's the one that makes him a priest.
Yeah, he's got the priest, but I've seen this thing loaded out a couple different ways, and fantastic model. I think it should show up in a lot more cities list where it doesn't show up, unless, of course, you're doing something different. Pontifex, we know what the Pope does. We love the Pope. We got a Battle Mage. Starting to see these kind of pop up now. Since the nerf to the Warforger and not being able to hand that spell out as much as he used to. Sure, we'll see some Battle Mages. Paul of Doom, I don't remember what this one is. Do you know what that one is?
Off the top of my head, no, I don't either, actually.
No?
Bravery debuff sounds right, but I don't think that's correct.
Mm-hmm. We'll check the receipts. Matt, check the receipts. I'm going to go deeper into this list. All right. Free Guild Cavalier Marshal. We know what this is. That's going to give first strike to those Cavaliers when they charge. For dudes that are around him. He's a pretty good, fun little hero. We got Talia Vendre. Oh, okay. So we got like both of the biggins. This chick slaps. She does a ton of damage. I've seen that Manticore pop off and like 15, 20 damage a turn, and I just don't get it. But, that's how it be. All right, we got our Warforger with our Blizzard, because you never leave home without a Blizzard. You silly if you do. All right. 10 Cavaliers. Saucy. 20 Steel Helms. You need dudes to stand on circle and die. That's the point. We got 10 Fusiliers because return fire and just a little bit of shooting can go a long way to kind of thin out some ranks or open up a hole for, one of these fun heroes or get them unstuck. And then we got
got the spell.
All right, what's it do?
Cast value 7, range of 18 inches. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within range and visible to the caster. That enemy unit cannot issue or receive commands until the start of your next hero phase.
Oh, yeah, no. Taking away an all-out defense is crippling. So, yeah, no, I like that. That's sick.
Or redeploy or anything that's faction specific, yeah.
Right. So, we got the Command Core, because you never leave home without the Command Core. Every Cities of Sigmar list is only 1,800 points. And we got double Battle Reg, because if you're not going to be like a 14 drop, you might as well be a 2 drop. So, 2,000 points on the dot. I'm curious if this list wiggled anyway with the points that just came out, but we are not using. So, yeah, no, I like this.
I don't think anything in there changed. The big ones I remember, no, Fusiliers went down 10 points.
Oh, hey, so this has a triumph at Masters or any other edition up until 4th. So,
right.
This is a sick list. I want to see the bonus movement for those those mounted models from Misthaven. And I want to see lots of charges, tons of damage. And I hope that you can turn off every command point that is game winning. Because, yeah, that's what Command Corp does. That's what you pay for.
With a free guild marshal, a reinforced unit of cavaliers, and and Talia, There's a lot of hammers in this list.
Yeah.
I see this as being kind of the opposite play from what Dylan's doing, where Dylan has lots of small units that can combine charges to chain activations. Uh, there's still the Free Guild Cavalier Marshal chain activation trick here, but the hammers are all bigger. It's not small trading units so much as reinforced bricks or large monsters that are still not 600 point blobs, but 300 point larger trading units that are intended to hammer through potentially something larger. On the other hand, just as a head-to-head comparison between the two, um, Dylan's list could potentially come out ahead here if he can get the matchups he wants, where he's able to take out one of those big blocks in exchange for one of his units. Or a good multi-charge on Joey's part could let him take out several of Dylan's pieces at once.
Yeah.
And that's going to be very much a positioning and execution game. So even though these are both cities lists and you see some repeat pieces between them, and we keep saying, yeah, it's mostly melee trading, 10 Fusiliers is not a gun line. It's a very different set of list and would make for a very interesting game. And I don't know if I would favor one list or the other.
Yeah. All right, well, let's check out another very different cities list. Putting this document together, one of the benefits that I got to see is I got to see all these before everyone else, and there's not a lot of repeat ideas, at least here on the Order Death side. Everything's fairly unique. All right. So we got Tyler Rabb and his list for ants. And yes, we finally learned how to twitch. Okay, I may have to zoom this in because everything will fit on a single page. That is my decree. So, all right. So, Cities of Sigmar, subfaction Hammerhall Aquasha? Aquasha?
Actually,
Akshi? That's not how that's spelled.
no, it's not.
Banners held high. We know what that does. Bloodthirsty. My man wants to reroll some charges. I like it. All right. So, Free Guild Cavalier Marshal, Divine Champion. He's a priest, Harry. We got a Warforger, Transmutation of Lead. That's not Blizzard. Okay.
It isn't, but it kind of is.
Okay, never mind.
So the deal with it's more the Black Pit. Basically, it's a horde breaker that scales with your armor class as well as the number of models in the unit.
Okay.
So it's not Blizzard, but if the Warforger takes a spell from the lore that Cities has innately, it has to be Transmutation of Lead. If he takes one from the General's Handbook instead, obviously it can be whatever it wants.
Okay. All right. So my man's an alchemist. I like it. We got Battle Mage, we got Paula Doom, once again, turning off those redeploys and those all-out defenses. Those are amazing. We got Pontifex, we got the Pope. You never leave home without the Pope.
And just to clarify, yes, it is in fact Hammerhall Aksha and Hammerhall Gira, not Giran and Akshi, which don't know why they did that, but because they also have Akshian as a adjective here.
Mhm.
I don't know what Aksha and Gira are, but they are in the book.
Okay. All right. So, let's get down to that battle line. Cavaliers, Cavaliers, Cavaliers. 40 steel helms, saucy. 2 ironwood cannons, extra saucy. And 22 witch hunters. Awesome. I like it.
Yeah, the Wilder Corps, I'm not sure if they're quite witch hunters, but yes, the Rough Riders, basically.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Rough Riders are also wrong, but dudes with dogs.
We got double battle regiment and those Antoran acolytes. Extra dice to cast and unbind has proven to be kind of like the best part of this GHB. I know I've stopped some stuff that I've had no right to stop because of that extra dice. So, what do you think of the list, man?
Yes. So I think we're back into the lots of small trading units plan. With we've got a Warforger, Cavalier Marshal, and a bunch of Cavaliers, right? So the idea is they get 6s to hit our mortal wounds in addition. We've got a pile of steel helm bricks. So this looks like it's got two relatively stable front line pieces with the steel helms. They're not unkillable by any means, and that Warforger may make them more durable instead. This may be a he's there for +1 to save, not for 6 to hit.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit of poke damage with the great cannons, and the Wilder Core again just contributing to this. Nothing costs more than 200 points. Everything is a small unit that he can make you waste wounds on. Um, am I missing something here, or is there no command core?
There is no command core. I know Tyler is disgusted by trends and metas, so it does not surprise me that he has left those on the shelf.
Fair enough. Uh, Makes sense if that's his intent. Then that's his goal. And hey, you play what you want to play. I
Hmm.
could see the healing being very strong with a lot of small units, especially now that you can't stack it on one
Hmm.
unit. The obvious pivot is to then take a bunch of small units where anything that survives can be healed up.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean he doesn't have access to anything like a rally or other solutions for getting models back like that.
Yeah. No. I think it's a different way to approach the list. I think the double cannons are fun. When those armor piercing rounds do be hitting, these models feel so good.
Yeah, shooting in Age of Sigmar is very much a game of scale. If you have a little bit of shooting, it tends to not really do much or add up to much. But twice as much shooting tends to give you more than double the value
Yeah.
because you start hitting a point where people can't just heroic recovery through it or rally their way back through the damage you've done anymore.
Hmm.
You actually finish units off, and that makes a big jump.
Yeah.
Multiple cannons makes more sense than one.
All right. So I like the list. I hope you do well. I want to see the 15 Cavaliers succeed and a more combined arms list in cities is I think what GW envisioned and what we all kind of envisioned. And I think the recent FAQs are kind of pushing people towards that, whether they like it or not.
I think that's definitely a factor. Yes, just trying to clamp down on some of the problems we've seen at tournaments.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting list. I think it's a solid idea, and it's got enough damage between the Cavaliers and a couple great cannon pokes. And the Wildercore Hunters are not terrible shooting.
No.
The Arbalists in there can actually do some damage themselves.
Yeah. No. They get on a piece of terrain. They are a nightmare to get off of.
It's a list where there's no single threat that you're going to be able to focus on. You kind of have to deal with all of it, and whatever you don't focus on can punish you.
Yep. All right. So that's going to finish up our cities list. We only got three. Let's go check out the only Daughters of Cain list being brought to Smash. Brrr. As we scroll down. Okay. So, super interesting. We have the Army of Renown, which
Okay.
is sick. All right. So, Doc, we have the Crone Sears Pariah, Hasten the Inevitable. I don't actually know what that is. And it's
I remember looking at it before and thinking it was doable, but you're making up for the fact you don't have the stock Daughters of Cain options. So this seemed better than some of the GHB ones, but I don't remember what exactly it was.
mhm. So first thing is Slaughter Queen on Cauldron of Blood. You need a cauldron in this subfaction. Everything is built around what's her name? Crethusela, the Crone Seer. I'm just gonna call her Feet Lady. The army is built around Feet Lady and her ability to spend the pool in that cauldron to do prayers and auguries on your turn and your opponent's turns. And it's really, really cool. How you fill that pool of blood up is a little frustrating. I think it's a D6 mortals for D3 points.
If I remember correctly, it's a heroic action that allows you to cause some amount of mortal wounds to a unit near the cauldron.
Mhm.
And then you, on a 4-up, actually fill it. Otherwise, you don't.
Mhm.
If I remember correctly, it also doesn't specify that it has to be D6 to your own models, just that it has to be something near the cauldron.
Mhm. All right. Um, wait, chance coming through on us. There's an artifact that makes it a 3-up. Um, still
Once per
suck.
game, though.
Still sucks that there's a role for that. I really wish it just kind of did it, but um, with these armies of renown sticking around into fourth edition, we gotta, you know, they gotta not be better than the vanilla factions. So we got just a regular Slaughter Queen. We have the Croneseer herself, a really cool model. Um, the stacking minus to hit. Is it minus to hit? I think it is. Whatever that
Uh,
fire is.
Stacking minus to hit. I know that there is a minus to hit with shooting once the cauldrons are full, I think.
He does something that stacks. It's silly.
The big thing that Cthulhu does is gives you the ability to move things out of fade.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I saw this Army of Renown. I was like, ooh, Feet Lady. And then they were like, no Mind Razor. And I was like, oh, I'm done. I signed out.
Yeah, Dar's Arcane is normally very reliant on its just allegiance abilities. Mind Razor, Zealous Orator, the Blood Rights Table, a 6-up ward. Some of that gets they get back through the Army of Renown, and a way to get them -1 to hit from shooting actually helps a lot.
Mhm,
There are actually some solid defensive tricks in this list, or in the Army of Renown that this list is taking advantage of.
mhm.
Um,
So we have Doomfires. So they're battle line in the Army of Renown. They're nice. We have Witch Elves. We got a block of 30 and a block of 20. Let's see. Okay, so we have Bladed Bucklers. We're going to reflect a mortal wound on a 6 to save. That's nice. This Army of Renown, 6s to hit for Witch Elves, explode and get an additional point of rend. That's dope. And I really, really like that. If that was an ability that was in Vanilla Dog, you know what I would be doing?
Hang on. Sixes to get a yes. That is a thing they get.
Yeah,
It makes up for the fact that you don't have Mind Razor.
yeah.
I'm not sure if Doomfire Warlocks can actually take a lore spell at all. I need to double check that one. I know they can't take one from Lore of Shadows.
Mhm.
I never thought about them casting Flaming Weapon. I need to double check that one. If they did, it's still only benefit for the unit champion, but still better than nothing.
Right. All right. I don't know. If I was going to give Warlocks a spell, it would be Levitate.
Actually, you know what? I think I've given them Levitate in the past, so you might be right.
Mm.
I think you actually can give them a spell. It's just none of the options you can give them are particularly useful. They're mostly going to be casting either an endless spell or Mystic Shield.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to take over for Matt for a second. He's getting a little choppy. We're going to see if OBS sorts itself out. It just came to my attention that this program was made with two monkeys hit a rock together really hard.
It's not obvious. It's Discord.
So, dropping down, we got 2 units of Canine Shadowstalkers. Instead of moving, they teleport. That's sick. Controlling the board is really good. They don't have access to the autocomplete Doc tactics that Doc has been utilizing since the book came out. So, being able to teleport to board edges, get out of deployment zones, all for basically free, is really, really nice. So, definitely see why they made it. Also, the Cauldron of Blood gives a +1 to save aura. And Shadowstalkers are on a base 4-up. So, one of the few units we have in the army that can get to a 3-up armor save, which is pretty cool. Heart of Fury, because we got a ton of priests. If that pops off on a 6, giving everyone +1 attack is really, really good. And then Bloodrack Viper, probably the best endless spell in the game. It stomps, it eats models, it's super duper cheap, it's getting even cheaper. It's good. We have wizard finders, so we're going to get an additional attack against wizards if those units can get on it. And it looks like that's going to be both units of witch elves and that high gladiatrix. So we got a gladiatrix following them around. She's got the good 6-inch pile in. She's got a bucket of attacks. Witch elves will get more attacks with those exploding sixes that automatically wounded at +1 rend. If they can get on a big wizard monster or a big based wizard, that big base wizard is going to die horribly. But that's kind of it for the list. I'm so sorry, Andrew. I didn't think that this is what we would be reviewing today. I did not do my research on it. I promise to do better for you in the future, buddy. So,
Yeah, I remember looking up the Army of Renown when it first launched and thinking that it's closer to solid than it looks at first blush, just because of how much of Daughters of Cain is in the allegiance abilities. Um, but I couldn't quite put together a list that justified it on my end. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you've done with it. Uh, if nothing else, it should be interesting to see what it does and how much. Just looking at Blades of Corn, for example, how much you can do with Murder Lust just as out of phase movement or in your opponent's turn movement. That is a very powerful threat. The question is going to be, is Daughters of Cain durable enough to take advantage of those threats?
yeah. Out of phase movement is hilarious. So you just get to walk up and be like, actually, we're good. We're just going to take a step back. All right. So we'll drop down to Ryan Rutherford and his list. He's bringing Fire Slayers and Volstrarg. That's going to be +1 to hit and wound for Volkite Berserkers when they charge. I wonder what we're going to see in the list. Masters of the Forge have an invocation up on the board at the end of the game. Indomitable, because it's a lot of dwarves, and they die easily. So, Rune Smiter, he's got Ember Storm. That's the deep striking one, so maybe that block of 20, he's going to grab those and deep strike in with those. We got a Battlesmith, the Null City and Icon. That's going to be a 6-up ward while you're around him. Once a game, he can pop it for a 5-up ward. And he has a 4-up spell ignore when you're wholly within 12 of that banner from the Null City and Icon. Rune Fodder on Magmadroth, Axe of Grimnar, that's +1 damage, +1 rend. So we're looking at 4 attacks at damage 4, rend 2 from that Rune Father, plus the Magmadroth. He's got Coalheart Ancient, that Scaly Skin discount. Flamekeeper, because he has a lot of Volkite Berserkers, and a lot of Volkite Berserkers are going to die. And Dead Dwarf points are fantastic. Countercharging, +1 damage. I'm going to be honest, I only ever use the countercharge and the +1 damage, because giving Volkites +2 damage from both of the Flamekeepers that he has on the list is hilarious. Rend none, damage 3, oodles of attacks. I love it. And then we're going to have the Rune Master. He's got Master Priest. He's got the Volatile Brazier. He's got Heal. So Master Priest is going to let him once per game activate a rune he's already used. And Volatile Brazier is going to double the range of his invocations. So he can Whirlwind Slam that Molten Infernoth down 24 inches out and just ask you how you're going to deal with that. So going down to battle line, 10, 20, 40, 50, 60 Volkite Berserkers with hand axes. Yeah. When they charge, they get an additional attack. So that's going to be 30, 30, 60, 30, 30 attacks a unit. They now have 2-inch reach, which was their big limitation was their reach. They're 32 millimeter bases with 1-inch reach. Now they have 2-inch reach, so now they can fight over each other, which means he is going to consistently get 9 to 10 of those Volkites into combat every time. Once you start adding extra damage and stuff onto it, then it gets really saucy. They're also +1 to charge because of those horn blowers, so they go a little bit faster than you think. Runic Firewall, that's a neat little it's not a piece of terrain, so Broad can't yeet it, but only models with fly or are a magmadroth can pass over top of it. So careful placement of that runic firewall can really lock down big chunks of the board and let him be a little bit more spread out than he typically wants and not have to worry about opening big gaps on his heroes. It also is going to give a unit 6-up ward within, I think it's 18 or 12. It picks a unit of fire slayers and it's like bye 6-up ward. The neat thing with Runic Firewall, he does not have to roll for the empowered effect. So if you do not have a priest and Runic Firewall is on the board, you cannot deny his grand strategy. That's very neat. And Molten Infernoth, it's the big dude coming out of the ground. It jumps around. It does a bunch of mortal wounds. You either love it or hate it. And most people dislike it. Double Warlord. Why? Because Fire Slayers, we want a bunch of artifacts. He's not in Gearford for the additional artifacts, the wounds, so this is where he's getting those additional artifacts. All of the Fire Slayer artifacts are fantastic. So, what do you think, Matt?
My knowledge of Fire Slayers mostly extends to the fact that they are short and underdressed.
Yep.
I think it's a good assessment, Joe. It makes sense. You've got a faction designed around Volkite Berserkers. There's a pile of Volkite Berserkers. They're durable. They trade well. They fight on death, right?
Once per game, they can choose to fight on death.
The round where they're in a fight that they're going to get hit before they get to fight, they'll fight on death. So functionally, they fight on death.
Yeah. You cannot make them fight on death twice. The Flame Keepers can give a unit fight on death. So yeah, no, you can't do that. But I know Ryan, he's not going to do that. He knows his rules. Yeah, no, I like it. So
yeah, I wish I knew Fire Slayers better and had more feedback on it. But like I said, I play against the list very infrequently and mostly just rely on what my army does to carry me through the fact that I mostly can't tell which model's which because the range looks very similar.
yeah, no, the 2-inch reach really made this list so much better and gave it so much more to work with. Fire Slayers is also incredibly cheap. Like you as you see, you can put so much in a Fire Slayers list because everything is just at a premium. So best of luck, Ryan. I know you've taken this to some locals and you've won some of those locals. So let's see if you can win a GT. I know that this would send Jeff to the fucking moon. He would be so unbelievably ass blasted. Do it. All right. So that's our only Fire Slayers list. Let's go look at the only Lumineth list. Brrr, we go down. All right. Ashley Hayden, one of the whack people. We only got 2 whacks coming out this time. It's a smaller event, so it doesn't surprise me. But it still hurts. I love the whack, guys. You know, Lumineth, take it away.
Alrighty. So we're looking at Alumnia and Spellcasting Savant. So the general needs to survive the end of the game. Alumnia used to be pregame move. I actually forget what they do now, or if it's still pregame move.
It does infinite mortal wounds, huh?
Nice. So while we figure out what that does, we've got a Cathalar, Shaman of the Chilled Lands, so knows all of the General's Handbook spells. Silver Wand, I believe, is an extra cast.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got 2 notes from Lore of Heesh. So I'm going to assume that at the bottom we have a Warlord detachment that lets us take a extra lore spell.
Yes, that is down there.
Total Eclipse on both of these first 2 heroes. Spending command points is usually a very important thing for armies. Having to spend 2 for every 1 they want to use is a big deal. And using the Deep Thinker's ability on each of the Scenari is going to let her automatically cast it with a cast value of 9. And if I remember correctly, I think there's an FAQ saying you can still add primal dice to that, because it is in place of a dice roll,
Hmm.
it counts as still rolling dice, which was not intuitive to me.
Yeah. Thank you, Vince, for having our back. So if you are base to base with two other models in a unit, you count as two models and within six of an objective. So if they're clumped up together on an objective, they count as more dudes.
Okay, got it. Yeah, it used to be claim the field, which allowed you to pregame move 3 units.
Yeah.
And I was pretty sure that was the previous book.
Hmm. That was a really sick ability.
Yes. Other lore spells are Protection of Heesh. Ward bubbles are good. I like 5-up ward bubbles. It might not be as big as the Techless ward bubble, but if you don't want to spend a premium for Techless, this is a good way around it.
Yep.
Speed of Heesh is double the move speed characteristic of a unit. And I believe the Enlightener actually is a 2-cast wizard as well. So we have 2 wizards that are 2 casts each. The Venari Lord Regent also has Protection of Heesh and Merciless Blizzard. Um,
Is the Venari 2 cast, or does she just have that janky, like, cast a spell twice thing?
oh, there was something weird about the Enlightener. You're right.
She can, like, cast a spell twice.
Has a chance to. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
People bringing all these weird units that aren't the cookie cutter, making us making us look bad.
Right. Well, it feels like it's at the end of the edition, and people are trying to have some fun here instead of just grab the meta and go to their normal go-to.
She is two
So
cast, two
point
unbinds.
2 casts, 2 unbinds. Um,
And if she successfully casts a Lore of Heesh on a 3-up, you can resolve the effect a second time, but you cannot pick the same target of the original spell.
okay. So given that Speed of Heesh is an option, they'll let her choose 2 units to go twice as fast.
Yeah.
Um, okay, you don't choose a target for Total Eclipse.
You cannot double Total Eclipse. I'm making that ruling now. That is dumb and unfun.
Um, well, you technically don't choose a target for it.
Don't do this,
I will
Matt.
have to take a look at that one.
Matt, do
I
not do
think
this. You're about to ruin 5 people's day.
I'll come back to that thought.
Okay.
All right. So the Lord Regent, Lord of Heesh, Protection of Heesh. Once again, ward bubbles are good. That's competing against the ability to give D3 units power of Heesh. So their weapons would mortal wound on 5s instead of 6s. And Lord Regents are always +1 to cast that spell. So I think it's just +1 to cast Power of Heesh,
Mhm.
or Greater Power of Heesh. Merciless Blizzard, because Merciless Blizzard. Is Merciless Blizzard locus only? Locuses are still mounted, correct? Or a mounted unit can still be a locus,
Yes.
but you can't go in the wizard battalion. That's
Yes.
right. Okay, so he is a locust. He can take Blizzard. Checks out. Light of Eltharion, nice brawling unit.
Mhm.
He's small. He's easy to hide in places. He gets Lookout Sir now, or the can't be shot from more than 12 inches away.
Mhm.
He's a 3-up ethereal, which is always good. Well, 66% of the time is good. His only problem is the lack of a ward save, which the 2 units with Protection of Heesh will hopefully fix for him.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have Severith is just a very mobile gun platform.
Let's hope Severith, only a shell of his formal self, but, what can you do? Let's hope she gets some
Less
fun, like,
less
20.
mobile, but the shooting's still scary. It's good. It's a good assassin unit.
Yeah, let's hope that she can kind of get that in funky places that lets him get some shots off that opponents weren't really ready for. Because he can do some serious damage.
Makes sense. All right, and then into battle line, we have 10 Venari Wardens. Protection of Heesh again, more redundancy and fallbacks for that. An Ethereal Blessing, because sometimes you just need to not roll. You need to just ignore Ren.
Nope. Looking at you,
Reinforced unit of Blade Lords, a double reinforced unit of Blade Lords. All right, so these are escorts for those Sonara units to protect her heroes.
Are they?
They've got a 2-up bodyguard. They're also giant hammers.
I'm looking at the 15 Blade Lords that are like, I'm going to hit that dude for 12 mortal wounds.
True. Just walk up and perfect strike something off the table is an option. They're very aggressive bodyguards. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way. And yes, I've used bricks of 10 Blade Lords before. I haven't used a block of 15, but this looks like a lot of mortal wounds to throw around.
Mm-hmm.
2 units of Dawn Riders, speed of Heshin, overwhelming heat. So again, more redundancy on the move speed abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And do we have anything else on? Does overwhelming heat still reduce the target's movement speed?
Yes. I think it's
All
I
right.
think it actually reduces. It's not just a minus to your move.
Yeah, cuts it in half if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some mortal wounds as well. All right. Rolling down, what else do we have in the list?
All right, so we got the shrine.
All right. Twin Stones and the Grave Tide. And then a Acolyte Battalion and a Warlord. So the goal is there's a lot of casting in this list, but I think you hit the nail on the head here, Joe. The damage is coming from those Blade Lords.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit of anti-horde with the Grave Tide. Is overwhelming heat a horde breaker now? It might actually be.
We can look. Tell us about Twin Stones. I never see them.
Overwhelming heat. Nope, I was right the first time. I have a unit move characteristic, and then roll equal to or greater than a save. If you do, they suffer D3 mortal wounds.
Yep.
The Twin Stones used to be that every spell you cast counted them up, and then you could draw power from them and reset the dice back to 1 and get whatever the dice is as a bonus to cast. It was changed so that instead of just resetting the dice, you actually took the spell off the table.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a way to power up one big spell, get a very large bonus to cast, and then pop it off the table for +6 to cast on that spell.
Let's hope that spells Blizzard.
Yeah, it's a good way to get Blizzard off. I think you've pointed that one out well. And sticking with the Blade Lords, it seems like you have a fairly consistent theme of this list threatens with a lot of mortal wounds once you get close.
Yeah. I mean, you walk up, you deep thinkers, there's some primal dice have it, give it a +6 to cast, and you're like, yeah, unbind that like 27 to cast Blizzard. I like
Pretty
it.
much. Don't have to worry about throwing a bunch of primal dice and miscasting. Just give yourself +6 to cast.
Yeah.
It's not so bad.
I mean, so we have a unconventional, I would say, Lumineth list. Anyone that leaves Techless at home is interesting and a fun way to play the army. You realize you can get so much in these lists when you leave those god models at home. You just hope that it's worth it. 6-up ward is not as good as a 5-up ward, but it is what it is.
Well, Protection of Heesh is a 5-up ward. It's just a smaller bubble.
Is it smaller? I thought it was a 6. Okay. Nice.
It's going to be, instead of Holy Within 18, Holy Within 9, I think.
Dylan, are you telling me that this list is common outside of Texas? Is that what you're bringing to the table here, buddy? Sorry, Dylan's correcting me in the chat. Oh, okay. Well, fine. We'll default to Dylan. He's the travel-y guy. So, very conventional, generic, boring list, but it's not Texan, and it has no Techless. So we appreciate it. Are you happy? Does that sound better, Dylan? Love you, buddy. All right. So, let's slide down to Seraphon. All right.
Yeah, Dylan's correct. It does specify, Total Eclipse does specify that you must spend 2 command points instead of 1. So I'll rule that you can cast it twice. It just doesn't do much with the second cast.
Oh, whatever. Make him spend 4 command points. There you go. All right. So Kyle Evans is bringing Seraphon, and it's a Starborn list. Fangs of Sotek, Spellcasting Savant, Croak, Astrolith Bear, Starseer, Starmaster, Skinks, Raptidon Chargers, Saurus Guard, Bastillodon, Arc of Sotek, Pendulum, Malevolent Maelstrom, Realm Shaper Engine. Oh boy, I love this list. I've loved it for all of 3rd edition.
Yep. So it's Starborn. Um, the reinforced Saurus Guard are a little bit more durable, so that they can protect the Slans a little better.
Hmm.
Um, there's really not much to add about this. You've got your Merciless Blizzards, you've got your Teleport, you've got your Croaknado.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much a list of try to hold the middle line, play for the objectives down the middle of the table, and if your opponent decides to do something ridiculous like enter your threat radius, just cast a pile of spells and blow them off of the table. Um, they can unbind board wide. They can hide behind
Realm
the
Shaper.
pyramid, though usually they want to get up enough to actually cast their spells. There's Maelstrom and Pendulum have a bunch of splash mortal wounds.
Mm-hmm.
There's the pyramid for an extra D3 mortal wounds if you are uh, trying to get a cover save or just stuck in terrain because it's in your way to get to an objective. Um, yeah, it's the tricks that we're seeing here are the tricks that we see typically in Starborn. It's a lot of mortal wounds. It's magic dominance. It's very strong unbinding, and it's durable enough when you start getting through the Bastillodon to make a fallback play of summoning in replacements. I do know there's no Troglodon here.
No.
I think Eli's mentioned that he is a little bit against the meta in that he's stuck with the Troglodon the whole time instead of playing Trog Bomb.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's kind of fallen out of favor.
Mm-hmm.
But having dealt with that Troglodon enough times, I don't miss him.
Yeah.
Not sad to see him absent.
Yeah, no. Instead of the Trog, it looks like he chose to bring the Raptidon Chargers and bring that second block of Saurus Guard to give him a little bit more foot dudes instead of a disposable yeet a dude across the map and fire spells off. But people that have been playing throughout all of 3rd edition have come across some variation of this list in their career, almost guaranteed. It does chip damage, and then the turn you choose to commit against it, you really hope you win that priority roll, and you do not lose it, and let the Seraphon player start their turn with your army committed in front of them, because that's how you're going to lose a game.
Mm-hmm.
So, this wins games. This does well. It is well known, but it has stuck around in this iteration because this works. So I can't knock Kyle for bringing a competitive list that has the tools to get it done. How did I like it in Dallas? I loved it in Dallas. Eli had an unbelievably fun game. For the first time in my career, I played against Seraphon and had fun. It took an entire edition, but we finally did it. So,
I played him several games after Joe. Eli's an excellent person and a fun player.
yeah.
I still don't like Seraphon.
You know, it is what it
He
is.
did what he could to make it an enjoyable game.
So,
I just don't like Seraphon.
yep.
It's
Okay.
probably because I like small support heroes.
Right. All right. So let's slide down a little bit. Also, our only Seraphon list. Neat. All right, Adam Burke. We got a Sylvaneth. This is fun. All right, Matt. You play Sylvaneth. You want to take it away?
Sure thing. All right. So we were playing out of Heartwood. So start a game. He'll get to choose 3 units, get +1 to hit against them for the whole game. Applies to both melee and shooting. Applies to his whole army.
Mhm.
Also, will make Kurnoth Hunter's battle line. Everdusk. Okay. Bold.
Don't worry, it gets
Everdusk
weird.
reduces the range on all of your teleport auras, so that 9-inch radius to teleport into or away from is reduced down to 6 inches. However, anything that's near overgrown or wildwoods gets exploding sixes, just default.
Mhm.
Between exploding sixes and +1 to hit, this can make your units extremely dangerous. I have really wanted to make this work. I've tried it a few times and I haven't been successful, but that was before they changed the coherency on Kurnoth hunters. So that might, or units of 6 models.
Mhm.
So that might actually be a lot more viable than it has been previously. All right. So there's the overarching strategy. This is a melee focused army with big buffs that, if they are in range, um, uh, is extremely devastating. All right. Let's look at what else is in the army. Lady of Vines makes sense. She gives you a 5-up ward with her spell. Um, uh, we've got a Arch Revenant, so +1 to wound for Kurnoth hunters, and also a command ability that gives +1 attack.
Hey, don't
Can
forget,
give that to anybody.
5 out of 6 times, she also gives you 10 dryads.
That's true. Lady of Vines is also bonus screen, which is nice, or objective capper in the back.
Mhm.
So sometimes she gives you a discount on her cost. Command trait Warsinger, plus 3 inches to movements at the start of your move, or it's worded weirdly, but units that are wholly within 12 inches of the Arch Revenant have +3 to the move characteristic during your move phase. Arcane Tome, nice. Always like another person who can cast Mystic Shield and throw an Unbind around.
Mhm.
Spells Verdant Blessing. That's, I believe, per FAQ. So the app threw this in there. That's not included in addition. I believe per the Arcane Tome FAQ, you can only cast Mystic Shield, Arcane Bolt, and Endless Spells.
Mhm.
So you can't actually cast Verdant Blessing. I know the app will put that in there, or War Scroll Builder, maybe both.
Mhm. I think it's the app. I think you have
Uh,
to unselect it.
you can't.
Oh,
You have to manually delete it from your
delete it.
copy paste.
Yeah.
So it's, I would, yeah, it's a minor notational error. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's an error in Games Workshop software. Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
One sorceress, she casts spells. She doesn't have anybody to sacrifice. Interesting ally choice. Um, Curious to see where she fits into this plan, though.
Acolytes.
Oh, yep, that's it. And the Arc Revenant is the other acolyte for the battalion. Okay, now I see it. That makes sense.
Mhm. I probably would have went with a store. I think our Knight Arcanum is 120 points. She just has a better save.
And an automatic unbind.
No,
Oh, that's the
that's the
Lord Arcanum, right?
Relictor. The Knight Relictor has the automatic. We have a Knight Arcanum who's like 120 points. She just has a better save.
Okay, got it. Might not be 20 points to work with. Belthanos for another movement speed boost, because now running and charging on Kurnoth hunters that are moving 8 inches, your average move is now 11 inches on those scythe hunters, which means that they don't need to teleport to get where they're going. They just charge. 2 units Tree of Evidence, because stealing objectives wins games.
Mhm.
Spite Swarm Hive, because why settle for 8-inch move plus a free run when you could have a 11-inch move +3 to charge and still get your run and charge.
Yep.
Wildwood's free. 6 Spite Rider Lancers. Okay. So here's our other hammer. We've got the Kurnoth Hunters, we've got the Spite Rider Lancers, and we've got Belthanos. Those are your 3 big hammer units. Lady of Vines is an excellent support piece, and she's no slouch in combat either. And then we have the Andorian Acolytes, the Battle Regiment, and 30 points to play with for a triumph. Indomitable is going to mean that those big units of 6 don't, the first time they fail Battle Shock, they basically won't.
Mhm.
Which is important because I think that the Spite Riders are bravery 6 or 7. It's not great.
Yeah. No, the
And when you're 5 models or 5 wounds per model, losing battle shock by 1 is a big deal.
mhm. Are these the bring a dude back ones?
No, those are Revenant Seekers.
Okay.
These guys get first strike on turns they charge.
Okay, cool. So these are the first striker guys. Cool.
And with all of the movement speed increases, it should be really easy to get those Spite Rider Lancers across the board, make a charge, hit hard, and hopefully teleport out.
Mhm.
The challenge is going to be to finish that charge where you're still in range of the Everdusk small bubble in order to actually make that escape.
Yeah.
The Kurnoth Hunters can use the fact that they turn objectives into overgrown terrain. Um, Anything near the Lady of Vines can use that. But if the Spite Riders are way ahead of the army, it might be hard to take advantage of that the first couple turns.
Mhm. No, I like it. I think something like this is interesting. I know when we saw Belthanos' War Scroll, I was like, maybe this will give Sylvaneth the ability to commit to 2 or 3 charges on a turn instead of yo-yoing one scythe unit, because you can send the Lancers in, they're gonna have first strike. You can send in the scythes, and then you can send in Belthanos, and Belthanos isn't going to die in a round of combat to anything shy of Gotrek or I don't know, maybe like a Craggy or something. Like he's a tough nut to crack. So you can take 3 big combats on a turn because of his projected threat ranges, and especially if Swipe Form Hive goes off, you can really get moving.
Yeah, I have one rounded a Belthanos before. Turns out that 10 juiced up Blood Knights in Castellai will destroy a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, when you're like, oh yeah, this is like 30 attacks at Ren 2, damage 4, you know, pretty good.
41 attacks, not 30.
Oh, 41 attacks. My B. Yeah, no. Some things will kill him. Most things will not kill him.
Correct.
Yeah. So, I like it. Belthanos has been, I'm not going to say in every Sylvaneth list we've seen at Texas GTs since his release, but he has a strong representation.
I've even seen him played in non Sylvaneth lists, or heard about him appearing in Cities lists as a bonus anvil.
Yeah.
He's mobile enough on his own, and in Sylvaneth, he brings a pile of support effects in addition to being an anvil, and his damage isn't bad either.
Yep.
He has the Kurnoth Hunter keyword, which synergizes well with the Arch Revenant. Honestly, seems like a solid list. Sylvaneth, I think, is a good army to play around 3 anvils, or sorry, 3 core hammer units, and that's exactly what this has.
I hope you like Sylvaneth, chat. It's one of the most represented order factions at the GT.
Nice. Well, then we better
Get moving.
move on and take a look at another Sylvaneth list.
All right, Joey. One of our boys from Hangover Heroes. Love me some Joey. All right, Sylvaneth, Heartwood, Overshadow, Inspired, The Dwindling.
Dwindling is once per player turn. You can re-roll a cast or unbind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, everybody loves that. Belthanos, who would have thought? Warsong Revenant, fantastic. We got a Tree Lord Ancient, all right. Not the 300-point hero you typically expect to see in a Sylvaneth list, but definitely one of them. We have the
You see him a lot with Warsong Revenant. That combo is pretty solid.
we got the Pope. Yeah.
Okay, that's a surprise. Okay.
I mean, you're just like, hey, that piece of terrain is also mystical. The tree she's standing next to is now mythical.
The tree she's standing next to is mystical.
Yeah. Belthanos makes a
Oh, Belthanos. Okay, I see where you're going with this. Yes.
yeah.
So she's getting her prayer on a 2-up. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Kurnoth with Scythes, they do tons and tons of damage. Tree Revenants, double of them because we want to steal some objectives. You're starting to see a theme. Dryads for 100 points, they're dudes that die, and I have biffed charges on Dryads from the -1 to hit and wound so many times. God, are they annoying.
I'm pretty sure those are my dryads he's talking about.
Oh God, I think they are. Spite Swarm Hive.
There's also a few that just blanked on his name.
Yeah. And then we got Awakened Wildwoods. Most of this wrapped up with a neat little bow and a battle regiment. But
Yep.
Balthano, like it's a Sylvaneth list. You're going to see some combination of 2 to 3 300-point heroes. Hey, what do you know? We found them. Pontifex Zenestra, that's a saucy pick, but really interesting. I like it. I think it's fun.
Yes, this is a spell singer list, so very different from the war singer list that we just saw. Focus is on trying to throw a bunch of mortal wounds out of a tree that the tree lord ancient will drop basically right in front of your face. And then we play shenanigans with Belthanos and the Kurnoth hunters trying to do enough damage to keep you busy so that the Warsong Revenant can do it again next turn. It's a good mix of spell damage and Scythe Hunters. Belthanos is going to make that Warsong Revenant next to a piece of arcane terrain, and then Zenestra next to a piece of mystical terrain. So we're looking at praying on a 2-up and +2 to cast for the Warsong Revenant, which is a great combination.
Yeah.
Enough mortal wounds to be scary.
Mm-hmm.
Some good splash damage on support heroes, and still big punchy melee threats to deal with, and Spite Swarm Hive for bonuses to charge, and Belthanos for bonuses to move.
Yeah, no, I like it. Fun list. Definitely not the kind of list I'd expect to see at a Jody. I know he was playing around with. He has a very beautiful painted Sylvaneth army, and last I saw him, he was pushing around Durthus. So
Yes, I do remember Jody playing a Durthu army in the past. Looks like we've got another ad that popped up.
not another ad. I hate ads. For our 15 subscribers, though, you guys are the goat. Don't worry, don't worry. We see it, we see it. We are going to scroll down to the next list, however, and we're going to make it seem like we started talking.
I already spoiled it. Sorry, I just straight up told Brian that all we've done is complain about ad.
Ugh. All right. Are the ads over yet? Someone tell me yes.
It looks like they're over.
Sick. So thank you, Jody. We're gonna go down to our next Sylvaneth player, Patrick Billups. My man's getting his paper up. I like it. Sylvaneth, Heartwood. Who would have thought? Spellcasting Savant. Bloodthirsty and the Reaping. Is that? Are we 3 out of 4 for the seasons?
Yes, and amusingly, the one that I play most of the time is the one that we haven't seen yet.
Right.
The Reaping increases the range of your teleport circles from 9 inches up to 12. So you can push further into your opponents. Usually, the main thing here isn't, I know the immediate off the cuff reaction that when the book first dropped was, oh, well, this is just to make it easier so that you have more latitude to make mistakes. No, 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 that's not it at all. It's because you can push further up from terrain that's further back. And if the terrain is not a very favorable location, you can still get into your opponent's territory with your bubble turn 1. So the Reaping actually has ended up being one of the more common selections.
Yeah. Alariel. If he does not summon Kurnoth with bows every game, I'm going to be so mad. He has an Arch Revenant
Well,
with Warsinger because bonus movement on Alariel is hilarious. That's all we're going to talk about that. Let's go down to the battle line where we have 12 units of Kurnoth with Great Bows. If that doesn't turn into 15 Kurnoth with Great Bows every game, I'm going to say Patrick Billups, Patrick Money Up Man, has failed me deeply. And Tree Revenants because, once again, fuck those objectives.
stealing objectives is fun. And then we got a Suffocating Gravetide here just because Alariel's got 3 casts, may as well use them. You've got an Arcane Tome, may as well use it.
Yep.
So it looks like the general concept here is pretty straightforward. Kurnoth Hunters force you to fight further up than you'd like because you have to deal with them eventually. Alariel can go deep using the reaping in order to expand how far up she can get. Between War Singer, the fact that she's Alariel, and the reaping, it should be fairly straightforward for her to charge in every turn, strike and fade, come back home, and go back into the safety of the castle. The trick with Kurnoth with great bows is that they are inconsistent damage, especially against heavy armor, but they're enough to harass your opponent. They're enough to be meaningful, and they are surprisingly good in a close-up fight.
Mhm.
It's very easy to underestimate that unit and say that I've charged their shooting, and therefore now they are out no longer a threat. The better way to look at Kurnoth hunters with great bows is that they are an anvil that happens to also shoot.
Yeah. Fern, they are going to be on threes and twos most of the game. +1 to wound from the Revenant, and then we have
Plus one
Heartwood
to
to
hit
give
from
them
Heartwood.
+1 to hood, +1 to hit. So I suspect these will be on threes and twos most of the game.
Yeah, the challenge for Kurnoth hunters is always that they only have 7 dice and only one rend.
Yep.
If they get a light armored army, they actually chew through opponents real fast.
Mhm. All right, but that's going to close it up for Sylvaneth. Very interesting list. Definitely not the Alariel and Friends list that we saw at Dallas. Those was all over the place for Sylvaneth at that GT. So yeah, I like
Yes,
it.
and we have definitely seen 3 very different Sylvaneth lists here.
Mm.
We've got one that is a melee grinder with 3 hammer anvils. We've got one that is a spell slinger list and also a couple melee threats. And then we've got one here that is a Alariel yo-yo followed by enough harassment fire to actually be a threat.
Mhm.
And don't forget, Alariel has a damage 6 spear.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more shooting from that as well.
All right, let's slide down to Stormcast Eternals. There's not double-digit Stormcast Eternals this GT. There's only 4. So these should be relatively easy to get through. All right, so we got Rowan, and he's going to be bringing Hammers of Sigmar, 6 up ward if you're wholly within 12 and an objective. Grand Strategies Overshadow. Fuck them battle line. Leaders, Ionis Cryptborn, Warden of Lost Souls for 400 points. Prayers, Bless Weapons. Exploding Sixes is cool. Averon Stormsire. This is the Warband, I believe. I think this is the Warband. Yep, that's the Warband.
Okay.
I think his War Scroll Pel is called like Thunderous Annihilating Great Storm or something like that. It just does a D3 mortal wounds. 4 Stormdrake Guard because dragons are fun. 2 more Stormdrake Guards because dragons are fun. 2 more Stormdrake Guard because dragons are even more fun than the last 6. So 8 dragons and Ionis. This should have been a Skywing, but I'm pretty sure. Wait,
Averin, I think, wouldn't go.
yeah. This would have been better, but I'm pretty sure Randy had opinions. Um, Battle Regiment. Guess what? This all fits into.
Of course.
And we have our holy command is Steadfast March because let's run them dragons,
Makes sense. Hey, or Averin needs to keep up with everybody else who flies.
right? Um, this list is fun. Ionis is a fantastic model. He's very fun to pilot, and he's actually somewhat enjoyable to play against. Kind of a big, honest, weird rules interaction, but not an oppressive model. And 8 Stormdrake Guard are silly. There's a chance that this will do 8 mortal wounds, or will do a lot more than that. And the turn it does a lot more than that is going to be a turn the opponent doesn't like. This is also the ringer, by the way. So have fun. This is not what you
Yeah,
want at the bottom table to play against.
yeah, but Rowan's. I've played a game against him. He's a great. Excuse me. He's a great guy. A lot of fun to play against. I'm glad to see that he's going to be out here. And I think that this should be a fun list. Bunch of models to just push up the table and do some damage with,
Mhm.
and have a nice honest scrap.
Yeah, I like it. All right, Rowan. You gotta let me know if your dad built this list. Or is he living vicariously through you?
Right?
All right. All right, we got the man himself, Mr. Flugy. So, Stormcast Turtles in a Storm Cape. Starting to see that pop up a little bit more. Astral Templars because monsters are for suckers. Spellcasting Savant because we have very few other options. Knight and Cantor, it's great. Yandastra, after her recent points drop, she's actually fantastic. Knight Zephyros because doing objectives is amazing. I like. Where's your artifact?
That's a
Th-
good question. Where is your artifact?
this this Knight Zephyros should have a Luckstone. So, but anyway, yeah, this Knight Zephyros should have a Luckstone for an automatic 12-inch charge. Um,
Makes sense.
10 Vanquishers, 5 Vindictors, 5 Vindictors. We have 10 Vanguard Hunters. The board edges will be this man's to control. He's going to be all over the place. And Stormcast, most of the battle tactics that Stormcast does are going to be have dudes somewhere on the map. Some restriction on where they need to be. The Knight Zephyros, the 10 Vanguard Hunters. That's how we're going to get in 4 different quadrants. That's how we're going to touch 3 board edges. That's how we're going to get out of our deployment zone. Judicators with Skybows. These are basically bow snakes with a 3-up armor save. And we have.
4 up, I think.
Oh, yeah. With a 4-up armor save, they're not a 3. So, yeah. These are bow snakes with a 4-up armor save. And we have 4 fulminators. They do a bajillions damages, and all of this is a 2-drop. And once again, I don't read the pack. I don't like that. But, Philip, I like your list. It's fun. This is definitely one way to play Stormcast right now. Focus on securing your objectives, making a grand strategy that's very difficult for your opponents to deny. Because after that, Incantor blows her once per game unbind. There's really no reason why she shouldn't just be vibing in the back of the board, securing you, spellcasting Savant. And Yandastra, maybe she'll find some monsters and fight. That'd be cool. If not, there's a ton of dudes in this list, and she's just going to be putting dudes back left and right. So
We've got a question here about whether this is using the new points, which it should not be.
this should not be utilizing the new points. Is it?
I'm going to find out. Let me take a look.
Yes, I did see a list like this do really well at Worlds. Yandastra paired with Gardas can get really silly. Yeah, no, she got a points drop. It was oh my god, what's the guy's name? Bastion. Bastion just got his drop down from 300 points.
Yeah, Yndrasta dropped from 260 to 250.
So
She's in here at 260. That's old points.
Yep, that's old points. She got even cheaper.
We're good.
Um, third edition. This might be she might be worth looking at. Okay, so sick. This is very different from the last list that we saw. All right, we got Andrew. He's bringing Hammers of Sigmar. We already talked about the 6-up ward. Stormkeep, so he's not going to be worried about them deep strikes. The man just wants to count for dudes on objectives, and his Redeemers on a 4-up want to do a D3 mortal wounds to you if you charge them. Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger, General, Shaman of the Chilled Lands, Mirror Shield so you can't shoot him if you're outside of 9, Scantilating Trail for the -1 to unbind, Celestial Blades for the +1 to wound. We have Ionis Cryptborn. We have a Knight Incantor. We got Vandus Hammerhand. What? Okay. 10 Vindictors, 5 Vindictors, 10 more Vindictors. We got a unit of Questor Soulsworn and a 2 block of Dragons. So Lord Arcanum Griff Charger teleports all over the place. This is another one of those. Hey, your chances of you stopping spellcasting Savant are almost zero. So if you get too close, he's going to blizzard you, and then he's going to teleport away. So I like it.
I see Command Entourage Magnificent. Is this bonus prayer that we went for?
Yes, Ionis has Translocation and Divine Light. Divine Light's going to be rerolls ones to hit, and Translocation is on a 3-up teleport. But Ionis can just be like, nah, I want one prayer this game, and it's going to be Translocation, and he's just going to automatically send something off to La La Land. Or 9 inches away from you, and bank on that juicy 9-inch charge. Um,
Yes.
Holy Command is call for aid. That unit of 5 Vindictors is actually 10 Vindictors in a trench coat. So I like it. He's got some skirmishing pieces. Quest or Soul Swoons are sick. He has ways to get models all over the board. Once again, to tag all of those, just be somewhere to get points. Objectives that Stormcast are playing these days. He wants to stand on 2 circles, get 1-2 and a battle tactic. And if he can get 1-2 more in a battle tactic, that's probably how he'll win a game.
Yeah, and one of the interesting points I see with this list is taking Stormkeep to get the bonuses to stand on circles and having so much movement tech between the Griff Charger being able to blink around, Ionis being fast on his own, being able to cast Translocation. Um, uh, it's not actually a slow list.
Mm-hmm.
The Storm Dirt Guard are fast as well. So you have almost all the mobility of a Scions of the Storm list with the bonus of being very good at holding your own objectives and into the late game, good at holding the other guy's objectives too.
Yep. No. I like this. I think this is sick. Once again, I did not read the pack. We're going to slide down to our last one. Like I said, everyone's kind of bringing something unique. Chuck Gavlak. We got our Stormcast, Scions of the Storm, Astral Templars, Spellcasting Savant Inspired. Here is our Vex Bomb Light. We got Pontifex, we got the Imperatant, got the Incantor, we got 3 standards. Vanguard Hunters because they're cheap and they do objectives. Vindictors because they're cheap and they come back when they die. Everblaze Comet because sometimes you'll get 6 mortal wounds off of it, and it's hilarious. We have 9 Grand Hammer Annihilators and a free Guild Command Corps because this man saw cities and was like, I want that. And I got 400 points to get that. So I guess he really hates command points?
Yeah, that looks like the Whisper Blade and maybe the Sawbones healing itself.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely a different way to do Vex Bombs. I would say of the 2 Vex Bombs that'll be at Smash, this is the one you want to come across. Uh, this one, you don't have to worry about losing half of your army turn 1. You're probably going to lose your heroes, though.
Yep. There's still enough splash mortal wounds to be a problem. There's still a pile of annihilators that you're going to have to fight through. So I think the core premise behind it is the same. Pontifex instead of another Knight Vexilor is focusing on the hits heroes instead of hits units.
Mm-hmm.
Lightning Blast and a cast from Everblaze Comet. So again, we're just looking at more splash wound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The biggest thing I have to say about this list is that there is more interaction than it appears. However, your interaction with the list is entirely in your deployment step.
Yep.
You play against this by controlling your deployment, spreading out so that he can't get your whole army, instead has to pick pockets to aim for, and that you can screen yourself well enough to not also get blasted by the Annihilators landing. The goal is to try to split that damage up so that it is not as game ending.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a deep deployment, use that to the advantage to mitigate how far those Vexlers can reach.
Um, Shout out to chat right now. They appear to very much dislike Vex bombs and Vex bomb players. Vex bomb
I
players
mean,
sit when they pee. I think
when
that sums
chat's
it
right,
up.
chat's right.
Right. So here we go. Thank you, Chuck Gavlik. Gavlik. This is not a name I'm familiar with. But thank you for coming out. You've made an enemy of everyone at the GT, but the staff loves you, and I love you because you get me that engagement that I so desperately desire. So,
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's a Vex bomb list. It but it is at least a little bit more of an interesting take on this. It's a bunch of Night Vexilers still, yes, but at least it's not just like five Night Vexilers, mandatory Lord of Paradent, and it doesn't look as copy paste from some of the lists that I've seen online doing this. It's the same general concept. It does look like it might have a little bit more follow up threat instead of just here's a pile of dudes with shields.
mm,
So this might be more of a be ready for how it lands, but the game's not just over one way or the other after that initial bomb step. So credit for that.
don't worry, we'll get to that list. All right, Ethan Scarlet. By the way, dude, metal last name Scarlet's dope. Stormcast Eternal, Sign of the Storm, Knights Excelsior, Slaughter of Sorcery. My man was like, if I can't play Corn, I'll play basically not Corn. Knight Judicator with Griffhounds. I love this model. Command trait, Shock and Awe. Null Storm Adornment, Hand Carved Null City and Icon. Ionis, Knight Vexilor with a Stormbringer. That's not a Vex Bomb. That's a different Vexilor. We got a Lord Imperative with a mirror Shield. 5 Vindictors, 10 Vanquishers. We have 3 Shield Annihilators. We have 6 Grand Hammer Annihilators. We have another unit of Griffhounds and a unit of Quester Soulsworn. Stop bitching, Peyton. I know. These are the shit people want to play. I don't know. I don't get it. Annihilators, they drop in, they do a bunch of damage. We have 8 Griffhounds on the field. So that's 2 different units of Griffhounds. That is 2 warning cries. So if you do drop in on that, Ionis and that Knight Judicator are going to shoot you. Brian, Automod is mad at you. Stop saying stuff. And Quester Soulsworn, they're great at skirmishing. They're great at taking objectives. You can deep strike them in. And then after they, maybe steal an objective, they can use their once per game teleport and get the fuck out of Dodge or steal a second objective even further away. So for Light and Shadow, they can come in early, grab the ball, and then later in the game they can jump back to the ball again and steal it later in the game once people have a hard time catching up with those orbs, or some scenario in which they could steal an orb. You didn't stand 3 inches away from an objective. So, Battle Regiment, Wizard Finders of Antor. He read the pack. I didn't. 2,000 points on the dot. This is a different list than all the ones that we've seen before. I like it.
Yes, it looks. There's a lot of different pieces to this. This is a Highlander list, isn't it? No
Yes.
duplicated units anywhere in the army.
Yep.
Not that we're paying attention to that or anything. It was just a observation that this feels like you have a lot of different pieces that each have a defined role. It feels like the kind of list I would expect Jeremy to run if he was here.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a everything is it's not what you normally see, but it all has a purpose and it has a job to do.
Yep. Also, Brian, You made me tell the auto mod that ISIS is an acceptable word in the chat. Think what you just did. Um, Thank you, Ethan Scarlett. I love it. I think this is the dope list. I hope you do really well. And I don't see a holy command. Um, you should probably put that in there because we know it's going to be Unleash Thy Hatred. All right. Dylan Wright, one of our local guys, playing Stormcast Eternals. Astral Templars, Spellcasting Savant, Inspired. Griff Charger making a comeback. Celestin Prime, first time we've seen him this GT. Vanguard Hunter, Vindictors. We got, nice, 2 units of Long Strikes and a block of Stormbright Guard. Um, I am not going to approve you fuckers. Swoop, stop. Automod is bitching at me. Um, all right, you will. I'll approve it. It's fine. So, Stormcast good stuff. We have a very unique grand strategy and a way to accomplish it. And dragons and long strikes. I love it. Thunderbolt volleys in there. My man's gonna get that triumph. He's at 1950. So, fuck yeah, I like it.
Yep. Astral Templars is I've been saying that should be the go-to for Stormcast Eternals since the book dropped.
Mhm.
Turning off rampages is very strong. And yeah, you've already kind of said the bulk of it. It's a Stormcast good stuff list. It's it has units that do their job effectively. It doesn't have a whole pile of Rube Goldberg machines that fit together in order to make it happen. It's just the long strike shoot. The Drake Guard are durable and hit things. It works. It knows everything knows what its job is. It's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, Prime's throwing mortal wounds, which is a fun little tech. He can come down early and just throw D3s at little templates, or he can come in later in the game and just delete something in a melee. So, I like it. All right. Let's slide on down. All right. Get your pitchforks out.
Ah, I wondered who brought the all Vex list. Okay.
Yeah. So, Shelling, I don't know why he's been on this for a bit now. I know he painted up the list, and I know Annihilators are fun to paint. I didn't think this would be the route he took. I am curious to see if his Night Vexilors are actually Night Vexilors or Night Vexilors with the Banner of Apotheosis. Did he commit and buy 5 crappy old crappy old models, or did he get Apotheosis banner for like $5 on eBay? Only time will tell. We all know what this does.
Yep, this is the full on Vex build. Again, there's more. You have more input into the game than it may feel like if you've never seen it before. Your deployment is incredibly important. Um, how you proceed with the game after the initial bomb hits is important, but you can in fact lose this game in deployment very quickly.
Yep. We are doing a bunch of Warcoda packs. The Warcoda packs do have somewhat limited deployment zones. There's a lot of kind of funky L shapes in Warcoda. So just be careful, guys. Like, if your heroes are within 12 inches of each other, you've made a mistake. Like, that's it. Um, Chances are he's going to get them, but these guys have to start on the board. This is double battle regiment, so it is a 2-drop. So you know what you're getting into. If he takes first turn, you can counter deploy. If he gives you the turn, you know what you have to do, and that's not have your heroes within 12 inches of each other. So please, Like, take those brain cells, rub them together, get some kind of activation, some kind of neurons need to fire here, boys. Um, but other than that, we've
Yeah,
seen this list before. Everybody hates
yeah,
it.
it's not an easy list to play against. But it is. This list often gets a bad reputation as being a no interaction game and, yeah, push button, no brain to play either. And neither one of those is true. It's actually a very challenging list to play against that you have plenty of non-intuitive tools to use against it. And it is after the bomb has landed, what he needs to do to follow up and close the game out can be very challenging if you play against it up front.
Mhm.
It does put an onus on the opponent to know what's coming at them and how to play against it. Um, my guess is that two or three of his games are just over on the first turn, and he gets to wander around and watch the other games.
Yep. Um,
The other 2 to 3 are going to be far more interesting.
right? All right. Okay, here we are. We're done with order, guys. Believe it or not. Who would have thought? All right. OCR Bone Reapers, Mortis Praetorians. That's countercharge, right? Right? Which one is a countercharge? Right?
Mortis Praetorians is countercharge, yes.
Yeah, there we go. Countercharge. Spellcasting Bloodthirsty. Soul Reaper with empowered Nadirite weapons. When weapons explode on sixes, when they explode on fives, they're better. Ossifector, Diversionary Tactics. I don't know what that one does.
Um, Blanking on it right now. I think that is penalty to hit when it's something about being near other units, but I'm blanking on what exactly it does.
Right? It does something. We have Catacross because every OBR player looked at their command points and was like, I like this, and then they looked at your command points and they were like, I don't like that. So Catacross is there simply to drain the fun out of the game. Any OBR player that tells you otherwise is lying. We have a Liege Cavalos. This is not the 2-up ethereal unrendable Liege Cavalos, so this is the inferior version of this model. Cavalos Death Rider, Necropolis Stalkers, because doing tons and tons of damage with empowered Nadirite weapons is fun and I approve of it. A Mortis Guard, because doing tons and tons of damage is fun and I approve of it. And Torian
And the Death
Acolytes.
Riders are there for a battle tactic as well.
Yep. And Torian Acolytes, because Primal Dice are how you win the game. Battle Regiment, because going before your opponent determined priority is also a good step in winning the game. So, is this a standard OBR list? As of the last 4 months, I would say no. This is atypical. Not a single whatchamadoodad to be in sight, but this may become more common.
Yeah, more gasts have been kind of the go-to for tournaments for quite a while. And before that, it was Petrifex Elite before they were nerfed.
Yep.
So we're still seeing, honestly, there's a lot of different good builds in OCR. No Arcan either. Instead, we've got a few more distributed threats and 2 big hammer units of Necropolis Stalkers / Immortus Guard. They come out of the same kit. It's just a question of what flavor you want for them. Interesting little counterplay tactic. Immortus Guard, I don't think it says that they may bodyguard. I think they have to.
They have to bodyguard.
So if you can throw damage at any of the heroes near them, you can do damage to them more efficiently than hitting them themselves, because there's now an FAQ that clarifies anything that uses a bodyguard doesn't get to use its ward.
Yep.
I don't remember if they did before, but now they certainly do.
Yep. So it's going to do a bunch of damage. It's going to be hard to kill. They nerfed the recursion of this list, so people can finally stop bitching about that. But overall, OCRX, since their book, has been in a very commanding place.
Yes, this looks like a very straightforward punch and grind list. It hits hard. It's hard to kill.
Yep. All right, Gunner.
And Catacross is only going to make it more true for both of those.
All right, Gunner. Thank you. This is a fantastic OBR list. So let's go down. All right, it's Peyton, and he's bringing Osiarch Bone Reapers, Mortis Praetorian, Overshadow, Catacross Arcan, Ossifactor, Liege Cavalos, Death Rider, Morghast, Mortec Guard, Nightmare Predator, and the Bone Tithe Necklace. Nexus. Bone Tithe Necklace is cool. So, Catacross, he exists to make the game unfun. Arcan exists to make the game unfun. Ossifactor and the Cavalos are there because they're good. Death Riders because an undeniable battle tactic is pretty dope, and making these dudes come back from the dead is infuriating. Morghast Archive because Rend 4, Damage 3 never is not funny, and turning off command abilities is dope. Mortec Guard because this army has been punched in the nuts more than any other army in the game, and this is all he can afford. Nightmare Predator, I believe, is the you cannot contest objectives endless spell, I believe.
Maybe. Not entirely sure what it does. Let me take a look.
I know we have some death players in here that they could clear that up. Oh, it's Mortal Wound spell? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it used to be it hunts down a specific unit.
Okay. So this is the dude.
Yeah, now
not
it's
the bird.
just does mortal wounds.
Okay. This is the dude, not the bird. So
Yes.
we know what Catacross does. Minus to hit, steals command points, makes your army way more durable, can slap like a motherfucker. Arcan is incredibly durable for a wizard. He extends the threat ranges of spells that you typically have to deal with, and is a fantastic wizard in his own right. The also factor is there because he's a cheap hero and he can cast Blizzard, and putting dudes back in units of dudes is amazing. The Cavalos is
Also as a buff for the Morghast.
yeah. And where is it? Liege Cavalos is another really good utility piece. So sorry to see you had to bring 10 more Tech Guard. I know that hurts, but this is just the world we live in.
Yeah, bringing the dual big name leader suite with Catacross and Arcan is eating up almost half your points by itself. The Morghasts are another 500 points. So that doesn't leave a lot to play with for the rest of the list. That's probably the biggest difference between this list and the previous one. With the heavier hero suite, you only have one big hammer from your units. So Arcan's probably going to have to get in there and get his hands dirty in order for there to be enough forward presence. However, Arcan is an excellent caster, and there's a reason that the Catacross Arcan meta was a thing for a while. It's, I think, less common now, but it's still good.
Yeah.
Nothing's gotten worse about it.
I mean, this all just cost more points, but that's been the story of OBR since that book came out. It all costs more points and just doesn't bring us back as many dudes. All right, Peyton. I like the list. I know.
And a bullet point we haven't touched on either of these two lists is to remember Mortis Praetorians is a very strong sub-faction. Counter charges are strong,
yes.
And you can disrupt a lot of battle tactics and strategies just charging when your opponent wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah. No. Counter charges win games. All right, we got the Duff. This is a list I personally hate. All right.
Yeah, but I like Brandon, so.
I love Brandon. Catacross, Liege Cavalos. We have the Soul Mason. Is that the dude with the chair? Is the Soul Mason the chair guy?
Yes, Soul Mason's chair guy.
No idea what that model does. Sorry.
Used to be lets models get reroll ones to hit. I think it's now +1 to hit.
Okay. We have 3 units of Cavalos Death Riders, a unit of Mortec Guard, and a 4 block of Archive. Basically, this Mortis Praetorians as well for countercharge. This list is going to run at you. It's going to smash into you. Then you're going to hear the sound of a forklift backing up, and then it's going to do it again. So, a different flavor than the last 2 lists, but we have the Archive to kill any big threat. We have Catacross to act as an anchor and provide tons of utility. Cavalos Death Riders over multiple rounds do a ton of damage. Between pretty decent fighting and impact hits, they're also very durable. and Mortec Guard are there because your army's gotten nerfed multiple times.
Yeah,
But
that feels like a already had enough battle line, but didn't have anything else to bring for 130 points.
yeah, so looks like everything's wrapped up nicely in a battle regiment. So my man's got a 1 drop and he likes it. Death Riders do last multiple rounds. Do not gaslight me.
Death Riders are very much a unit that you either slam into with enough to delete them hard, or he gets a turn and suddenly the unit's back to full strength. You can't chip them down, you can't poke them down, but you can burst them down pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So, oh, let me scroll down a little bit so everybody can kind of see what's going down at the bottom. And there, as you can see at the bottom, there's those Morgas that we were talking about. I like it. It is a OBR list that kind of runs in the vein of bring powerful units with good synergies and then outvalue your opponent.
Yeah, the Archaea are the big sledgehammer for the list. Catacross is a synergy piece that'll also be a hammer when he gets close. And other than that, it feels like it's designed around the idea of kind of trading and poking with those Death Riders and using high mobility. OBR is always a faster army than it appears because of its +3 inches command ability, but or +3 inch move command ability that it can use more than once.
Yep.
But Death Riders are even faster than that.
Yep. Retreat and charge, things of that nature. Tons of mobility in an army you would think would be slow and unrelenting. All right, let's slide down a little bit. We finally have a different kind of list from our boy Joshua Kennedy. We got that OCR Bone Reapers with the Petrifex Elite. Got the Spellcasting Savant. We got Bloodthirsty. All right. So, Arcan, Ossifactor, Bone Shaper, Cavalos. We have 2 Archai. So we have, okay. We have Harbingers, so he's bringing the deep striky ones. We have a big block of Mortec Guard and 6 of Mortis Guard. I know Josh has been kind of on the grind with this combined armies, not really leaning into the meta OBR list. He's still bringing a bunch of powerful tools, but he's not kind of committing to low model count, high impact that we've seen from a lot of OBRs from these last 6 months now. It feels like.
Yes. Not sure exactly when that trend started. Look at when Tom Guan started winning things with a bunch of Morgas, and you could probably point to that and say, "Here's where that era and meta started,
That was
or at least where it got
Orlando.
popularized."
I think it was Orlando. Tom Guan took that list too.
Um, but yes, as you mentioned, this is avoiding that plan while still running some more gasts, to having small units of 2 that can basically hit side flank units or smaller targets and break those apart, while the Immortus Guard are there to hit the real threats. Makes a lot of sense to me. Is Catacross sitting this one out?
Yes, we just got Arcan here.
Just got Arcan. Okay. Arcan still has a very specific role, and he still does it. He's very mobile. He is an excellent caster, and he still provides a lot of the recursion of the army. There's a lot of support heroes here. Liege Cavalos still provides that +1 attack command ability that Catagros has. It looks like a solid list, and it looks like it's a very varied selection of units.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come down to Joshua's ability to get the charges he wants and pick the fights that he wants with the units that he needs to fight them. That unit of 6 Immortus Guard is very hard to pin down, but if it gets stuck someplace out of position, that's going to be a problem for him. If the Morghasts get hit before they get to the target they want, or they end up fighting something that's too big for them, he can't afford to lose them.
Mm-hmm.
But if he can dictate where he needs things to go, Petrifex Elite is going to make them very durable. There's a lot of big guys here that are -1 to wound.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep. No, I like it. I don't dislike OBR anymore.
And Bill's right. This is a lot of debuffs to stack. OCR always has the -1 to hit from the what's it called? The Bone Tithe Nexus. You have -1 to hit and I believe save from Arcan.
Mhm.
You have -1 to wound from Petrifex Elite. Even without the Catacross -1 to hit, that's still a lot of debuff potential. And that's part of why OCR is so durable. It's not just the recursion, it's not just their base stats, it's all the stacking debuffs, which I'm sure, as the Ever Salty will point out in chat here, none of those do anything to slow down Cruel Boy's poison.
Yep.
He is already typing about what if I don't need to wound. Never mind.
Thank you, Brian, for
I
keeping
rest
us
my case.
honest. All right, let's slip down a little bit. All right, we got Vince, got the Legion of Blood. I think this is a fun kind of classic Legion of Blood list. Got the Vamp Lord, Shaman of Chilled Lands, and Soul Pike. We got another Vamp Lord with Spirit Gale. We got Neferata and her boyfriend, Cloak of Mist and Shadows, Vile Transference. We got Waste Away on Neferata. 20 skeletons, 20 zombies, 10 Blood Knights. I like this list. Not. I feel like Legion of Blood needs something. I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's a sub faction firing at like 90%, and it needs something to just push it a little bit more. But I like this list. What do you
I'll
think?
tell you what it is. Points reductions. Thanks, Tom.
Right? But yeah, no. Zombie Dragon, Vamp Lord on Zombie Dragon, that 3-up Ethereal with the Hunger. So hard to kill. Neferata providing a -1 to hit aura with the Hunger herself. Very hard to kill. They're great wizards when they're not engaged in combat, and when they're engaged in combat, they're a little bit scarier. The Vamp Lord is incredibly scary when he's in combat. So 10 death rattle skeletons. We typically like to see these in like bigger blocks. They kind of just die and disappear. But if we are trying to. All right, we got Lust for Domination. So
So hold gravesite.
hold grave sites. That's what we need. Dudes on grave sites at the end of the game. We got 5 Blood Knights. Not really getting any benefit out of Legion of Blood, but after the recent points drops, I think they should be closer to 190 personally. But I think they're pretty decent after their points drops, and I don't mind
I
seeing the
agree. Blood
outside
Knights
play.
should be 190 points, if not less. Please
Yep,
keep reducing them. Nothing wrong with that.
right. The lower they get, the better they look outside of Castelli.
And the more ridiculous they look in Castelli.
Yeah, but no one cares about Castelli, so they're allowed to be silly, except you.
Yeah, my one observation is that yes, exactly what Vince is already saying. The Blood Knights are targets for Dark Mist, so getting them to a 3-up unrendable is actually kind of one of the big tricks that what's it called, Legion of Blood has with Blood Knights.
Mhm.
Usually they get taken in a single block of 10 so that you have a bigger unit to have that synergy. But if your goal is just to pin with one unit and then kind of lose it slowly and force your opponent back, that makes more sense that you'd have 2 units. You get that initial hit for some damage on the charge, and then you attrition off and just keep someone too busy to get to the rest of your threats. Um, Soulblight tends to have hammer units and then defensive units. Most of the army is very heavy in the defense category, and that's given rise to a lot of the parking lot builds and the zombie spam that we've seen, where the idea is just outbody your opponent, say there's too much stuff on the table for you to get rid of it all. Legion of Blood tends to be a little bit closer to that midline there, where the Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon is hard to remove because he's ethereal.
Yep.
Neferata can make herself or another unit ethereal. And then you have durability on the units that hit hard instead of the split between these units hit, these units take hits.
Mm-hmm. You remember when the book came out and people were losing their minds about 2-up ethereal things in Soulblight?
Yes, I
And
was running them.
you remember people not losing their minds about that like months before that in the book? When for an entire edition she could make things 2-up ethereal?
I do.
Yeah, that's weird. I wish that didn't
Um,
change.
yeah. Well, when the models that you could make to ethereal, the spell was on a unit that no one took, and the targets were mostly not that scary in the factions that she would be taken in. No one put that together, or at least nobody was really concerned.
Right.
And suddenly, when she's in the meta because she's extremely powerful, being able to redeploy herself and three other units at the start of the game is very good and a core piece of what makes Legion of Blood so scary.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I wonder how many times Vince is going to put his models down just in random places and be like, finish your deployment. I'm going to move all these around anyway.
oh, I've absolutely done that. I've the Legion of Blood list I ran. I just explained to my opponent that these three units are underground. The rest of the army is only four units. I will redeploy all of them after you're done. I can put them somewhere, but there's no point in me wasting both of our time.
Yep.
Just deploy. You know what's underground, and that's it.
Yep. Oh.
Um, and I see Vince talking in chat. Yes, the blocks of 10 Blood Knights take a lot of practice to maneuver around the table. And having lots of summonable models that you'd have to, I believe they can ride over their own summonables without doing damage. So they can just walk over those screens if they need to.
Mhm.
But it's still more stuff to maneuver around and finish after walking around.
Yeah. All right, but that's our one Legion of Blood list. Of the two Soul Blights, this is my favorite. Uh, Nephi is always going to win out in my heart, no matter what. But let's uh, let's talk about this.
Okay, Steven.
Yeah.
All right, Hordy Jail's back.
Yep. So, Gorzlov, Vampire Lord, 100, 1, 2, 3, 220 zombies. So yeah, Gorzlov and 220 zombies walk into a GT. Gorzlov, once per turn, can just bring a unit of zombies back. Um, so he can get two units of zombies back. Gorzlov cannot break the restriction of only bringing back a unit once, but he can guaranteed bring a unit back. And with Endless Legions, he can get two back a turn. So they did nerf how crippling this was when you could bring back dudes 3 inches away from your opponent on your opponent's turn. But on his turn, he could just point at an objective and be like, that is mine again. You have to take that away from me. But we have it here 232 wounds. This is the most wounds of any list in the GT. Who would have thought? But
And then probably going to get some more halfway through from Empire of Corpses, or not Empire of Corpses, Endless Legion.
yeah, there's also 10 dogs here that we don't see. So don't
They're
forget the dogs.
Vierkos.
Yeah, don't forget the dogs. So I'm sorry, this is 252 wounds the first time. Um, so,
Steven, Steven,
right?
thank you for letting us use your truck last week. No further comment.
Um, so he took this to Slambo, I believe, and went 2-3. Um, he's back for a vengeance, and he's gonna try and get his 5-0. No, we don't use chess clocks. We've decided as a community that's not a thing we do for reasons. But is this list good? In this current iteration of it, it is probably the weakest it is, lacking the corpse carts and Belladama. Probably makes this list weaker, but lacking those things for just 60 more zombies makes it 3 times as infuriating because nobody's going to want to play against this. This list is 60% psychological warfare and 40% actual warfare. So, will he do well? I don't know, but if he does go 3-2, um, or better than that, I think that would be hilarious.
Yes, I think you really hit the nail on the head here. A lot of this is psychological warfare and the fact that everyone just looks at that many zombies and goes, ugh.
Nope. Okay, Steven, I gotta know. Are these on movement trays? Are you gonna touch 200? Okay, he's gonna touch. He's gonna touch 200 models
I've
around.
I've seen how he plays though. He's going to touch about half of them, put his hand down, and slide them up. I've watched him move this army before.
Yeah. um, he's just here to have fun. So, if you get paired into this, you're gonna have a fun game. They've nerfed the murder rolls, so just go ham. Just kill the shit out of these things. Have fun.
Yeah, a lot of this is going to come down to what kind of armies he plays into. For example, Ashley's army is very focused on quality wounds, where there's a lot of mortals being thrown around. Um, on the surface, that's true. She has the ability to switch to the whirlwind attack on those blade lords. So actually, the blade lords will also just murder all the zombies. Never mind.
Yeah, no.
Bad example. If you have high rend mortal wound damage and no ability to flip to anti horde instead, this list will give you a problem. If you have low rend bulk damage, uh, Andrew's pile of witch elves will walk through this and love every minute of it.
Nope. Um, if your list does 50 guaranteed damage a turn, you're probably gonna lose. So, all right, Steven, I love you. Thank you for doing this. This is what the GT needed. We needed this in Vex Bomb, and by God, we got him.
Uh,
All right, so like I promised, Austin Parisi would be the last man here. Um, huh. Because this is the end of the PDF, I can scroll no further. So what endless spell and evocations he brought will be a mystery. So
it's the corpse mare, isn't it?
no, it's barricade. Come on.
Oh, that's right. The barricade. The barricade.
Yeah.
The one that stops you from moving. I couldn't remember which one that was.
It doesn't stop you from moving. It just makes
It's an
moving
unbind.
unfun. So, Feck, subfaction is Hollowmorn. This is +1 damage to knights when they charge. And that's knight as in Feck keyword, not dudes on horses or mounts that we typically associate when we say knights. Um, so we have two Archregents. These guys are 150.2 cast wizards that bring dudes back from the dead. Um, the War Scroll spell also lets a unit that was set up on the board this turn move d6 inches. Fervor Scholar. I don't know what Fervor Scholar does. I'm sorry. Um,
Um, I believe it has something to do with getting extra bonuses to cast based off of how many deeds he's done. I believe.
okay. Um, Drain Transformation should be the fucks your movement speed up. I think it have your movement
Uh,
speed. It does mortals.
no, it's a bonus. It's
Oh, it's a
a buff.
I think it doubles your movement speed. It does something with movement speed. I think this is the double your movement speed. Um, so we know what Horrorfrost does. Crimson Viticules. That's going to be pick a unit that's near another unit, do some damage to that unit, and put models in your unit based off how many dudes you killed with that D3. And I think if you cast it on a 10 plus, it's 2 D3 mortal wounds instead.
Not sure on that one. Don't remember off the top of my head.
Blizzard is
I know
Blizzard.
Blizzard.
Yep. Carnal Vestments makes you a priest. He took Cursed as his prayer. The Courtier,
Interesting.
yeah. Courtier is just a dude, I think. I think it's a hero that's just a dude. And the Aberrant Cardinal with Cardinal Conviction is a 5-up ward.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a bless this meal prayer that you usually see in Flesh Eater Courts. It lets you choose a unit that when you hit it, you heal. or you
Oh,
heal a unit nearby. So I'm surprised to see Curse, though Curse is still a strong pick.
yeah. Um,
Is there a way for that Herald to deep strike?
that Herald, I do not think so.
Uh, because there's a fairly mean combo if you can deep strike him, where
Mhm.
he lands 9 inches away. Then you use the War Scroll spell from the Archery Regent, and then now that he's within range for Curse, you throw a Curse.
Mhm.
But the flares can uh, airlift him in. The Eversalty says, because I know that they can teleport themselves and a hero. Did they need a specific keyword?
Oh, okay. So they're the ones that get to bring them. Okay, I knew the courier got to bring someone. I think the courier can bring the Morbeg Knights.
Okay, so the flayers drag him to 9 inches away. Then the archer regent casts his spell to let it take a d6-inch move,
Mhm.
and now you've gone from 9 inches away to 8 inches away, and you throw curse on them from deep strike.
Yeah,
Now it makes sense. That's mean.
yeah.
I like it.
Um, so Crypt Ghouls, we have two blocks of horrors. These are going to be some of our knights. These dudes are going to pop off and get to damage 4. I think they go 2. If they roll a 6, they get bonus 1, and then if they charge, they get another bonus 1. So I think these horrors can get to damage 4 in this list.
That
Uh,
sounds right. I think there's a way to get them to 5 with Gourmet.
yeah. Um, Morbeg Knights, they need the courier to deep strike them, but they are also knights. They do fun impacts when they charge and can do some fun damage. Royal Beast Flayers, these dudes, when they die, don't. Crypt Flayers are knights, and these are going to be what's dragging our Herald around for our curse play. Crypt Guard are bodyguards, and we have Cavernous Barricade, which cast on a 5. It's a piece of terrain, but it's also an endless spell. No retreat or run. And if you
Just a
start.
heads up, we have gone to ads again.
Oh, god damn it! Alright, blah, 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 blah.
But while we're watching, it looks like a Toyota advertisement.
Ooh, Toyota.
Um, uh, Toyota Tundra. Oh, we're back to booking.com.
Hey, booking.com.
Nice.
For all your
I kind
travel
of
needs.
wonder, does everybody get the same ads, or is it just ads for a certain duration?
Oh, we should
I'm
celebrate.
now curious. Does it actually give everyone the same ads?
We should celebrate our
Okay, we're
ads.
seeing Spectrum Internet in as one of them. Hey, Azrael gifting a pile of subs to people.
Randy, thank you. All right. Randy's like, I don't want them to wait. I want this over with. And he's just going to whirlwind slam some subs down.
Nice. Thanks.
All right. So,
So we were talking about basically this looks like a wide range of small units with a lot of support heroes.
yeah.
There's no large super reinforced brick of 9 or anything
Yep.
that just rolls through and runs in, suicides, comes back at half strength, just kidding, is back up to 9 again, and does it again, which is a tactic we've seen talked about a lot with Flesh Eater Courts.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much of what's actually worked with the army. I just know that they seem to be doing fairly well,
Yep.
and that there are a lot of discussions of various different ways to play within the book.
Mm-hmm. So I like Hollow Morn. I like the idea of charging and getting bonus damage. Um, this army has tons of ways to do the charging thing and get bonus damage in a fun way. So I like the list, and I know Kel took this to Dallas. Probably, I'm not sure if we ever confirmed if he was the first 5-0 at a GT with Feck, but took a list utilizing a lot of the same similar tech and won that. So as the only Feck player there, maybe he'll play against people that haven't had a lot of exposure, and he will smash the unsuspecting victims. Okay. Oh, he did. He did Vince. Dope. All right. Kel did get
Yeah,
the first confirmed 5-0 with Feck. That's dope.
good for him.
Right.
I knew that he was going into the weekend without anyone else having done it, and I knew he went 5-0. So
Mhm.
good to hear it.
Sick. All right, guys. But that's it. Um, that is everything we have for lists to review tonight. That's we got more. The
Hey, thanks, Bill.
Hey, buddy. Thank you. I love
Ooh,
it.
I got one of those.
Oh, you got one? Nice.
I did. Thanks, Bill.
Right? So, um, that's it for Order and Death. Like I said, there's not a ton of repeat lists. I know Jeff and Eli will be on tomorrow at 8 to go over Destruction and Chaos. I haven't looked at those lists, so maybe we'll see a lot of kind of repeat cookie cutter lists coming out of that side of the game. But at least over on our side, we got a lot of people bringing fun, unique, with the exception of one or two things. I would say this will be a very fun GT to play at. I don't think we saw anything that was really egregious or anything that stuck out as more competitive, less fun, you know? So, Matt, we've went over the Order of Death. If you had to pick someone from all the lists that we went through, who would you pick to take it home?
To take it home or to be fun to watch?
You know what? Fine. Give me your game to watch, your player to watch, and who you think's going to take it home.
So Chris Schelling is consistently a strong player. Vexbomb is an effective list, um, uh, and he's been using it for several tournaments in a row. I think that he's a good combination of player, list, and experience to say that is a strong contender. Um, the list that I would find more interesting to watch is actually Dylan City's list.
Mm-hmm.
It's a strong contender to win as well. It's a bit of a dark horse despite having a similar list do well at LVO.
Okay.
Strange combination to put together of, the concept's proven, but we don't see it much.
Yeah.
We've seen some clone lists show up because that happens every time someone wins LVO, but this is a bit of a different take on it. And I actually think that if I was going to watch a game, I'd go for the Dylan list. And honestly, I wouldn't write him out doing well either. That list is solid. I have not seen him play as much recently. Last time I was out playing, he was mostly on OBR.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much prep time he's gotten with cities.
Yeah. I know he's been grinding on it for a while. I don't know if he's had take a 5-0 record kind of grind time with that. So we'll see. If he was on OBR, I would say Dylan would also be, if he was on his typical kind of OBR build, I'd be like, that's definitely someone we need to watch out for 5-0. Definitely a skilled player, but has he had the time to get the reps in with that list to go against some of our other really skilled players that are going to be here this weekend?
Basically, yes, that's where I stand. A solid player. Don't know how much time practice he's had with the list. The list looks interesting and the list has potential. I would say if I had to pick two players, those would be the two that I'd point at as probably contenders to take it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dylan's games would be much more fun to watch.
Yeah. So if myself, I had to pick a winner, I don't want to say Chris. I don't want to say Schelling. We know Schelling's a great player. We know he's bringing a list that has the capacity to just delete games. But I still think,
Nobody wants to vote for Fex Bottom. I'm sorry, Chris.
right, we love you, Chris. But I still think OBR has a lot of play, and I really like Gunner's list. It's the classics. I don't know him as a player, but strong army, strong list. So I want to vote for OBR just because I think it's in a great spot. I don't know Austin either, but his feck list is also another one. So I know it's kind of a cop answer, but maybe somewhere between that feck and that OBR list.
Jeff makes a good point in chat. Never sleep on Rutherford.
True.
Again, I don't know much about Fire Slayers, but I've played enough games against Ryan to respect that guy has the reps, and yeah, he will find a way to get the practice in with that list, and he will know it front to back.
Yeah. So you're right. Can't count Rutherford out, but I know Fire Slayers are having a little bit of a difficulty right now, just because of the battle tactics. Yeah, their book ones aren't always totally reliable, so Rutherford could be. But I would say Rutherford's going to have some fun games. He's going to put some dwarves against people that haven't experienced that, and they're going to be like, wait, how many attacks those little fuckers got? So, there you go.
Yeah.
But no, so I got 11 viewers. We're down from like 27 at our peak. So for everyone that stuck around here to the end, we appreciate you guys. We've been at this now for over half a year, and you guys that kind of stick around from the start to the finish are half the reason we do this. So thank you so much. It is almost 11. Somehow we managed to stretch 24 lists out 2 hours. Matt, I don't know how we do it.
Um, Technical difficulties.
Yeah, that definitely added about 40 minutes to whole affair. But
And starting after 40 minutes of debugging technical difficulties. Thank you, everyone who stuck through not just the list review, but also us trying to start the list review.
absolutely. So, I hope you guys come back tomorrow. We're going to be reviewing Chaos and Destruction. So, this will be Jeff and Eli. Maybe you like them more than Matt and I. Maybe you won't. But we'll find out. And everyone, thank you. Catchphrase. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a fun catchphrase. But guys, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with Jeff and Eli. Have a good night.